Powered by the Monroe County Reporters. Here are your hosts, Jason Harwood and Jacob Litton.
All right, welcome to another episode of Talking Grit. I'm Jason Harwood. With me is my friend, colleague, and fellow person who's crying right now, Jacob Litton. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I am dead inside.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
usually
favorite way to
get
put it after most losses, but this one particularly hurt.
yeah, I usually get Michael Scott meme from you, like says like I'm dead inside or what. I can't remember what the meme is, but you always send it to
Yeah,
me. I hate everything or whatever.
right.
You didn't send it to me yesterday, but maybe that's because my internet was screwing up in the stadium. I'm not sure.
I tried to send you several messages. It's probably best that most of them didn't get through because they were angry messages. And then, it was like message not delivered, message not delivered. And by that point, I was like, just forget it.
Yeah, sorry about that, dude. I got I did get some of your messages, and we'll talk about those later on. I guess before we get started in the game, I just want people to know like where I come from so they could just understand my attitude. I tend to like look forward at things and I don't like to look back on things a lot. So, I try to look forward and see, how we can improve, what we're going to, do better, not necessarily for these next two games, but, just next season that I could still have faith and be happy. But I also realize that there are a lot of people that are super angry out there and just want someone to blame, need something to blame to may either make themselves feel better or to prove themselves right or, however they want to cope with it. And that's okay with me too. But just understand that that's just not where my mindset is. How about you, Jacob? I know you get angry or whatever, but are you like, as your
I'm more
moment
on the
right
negative
now?
side. I'm still a realist. I guess I'm more negative than you are. You typically are very like, hey, like we're 0 and 15 and Jason's like, we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be okay, guys. Like uh I'm not quite to that level, but all season, every loss, it's like the sky's not falling down. And we've heard from the beginning, right? Like from training camp. It's like, hey, we're gonna figure it out. Dan Campbell, hey, we're gonna figure it out. We've still got time. We're gonna get this thing together. We're gonna clean it up. And here we are, our season's almost over and it's still not clean. It's still,
Yeah.
bad looking. And that's the part that's like, man, they never got it together. And when the season is over, there'll be a time to reflect and figure out where it went wrong and how we feel about it. But you know, there's still a very, very small chance that we sneak into the playoffs here. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not counting on it based on the way I've seen us play the last couple weeks, but you know,
Mhm.
we just need to root for the Packers to lose, and we've got to win our game. So that's what I was going to be hoping for anyway.
Yeah, if we were on life support before Sunday's game, we're still on life support, but someone's hand is on the plug right now, ready to yank that thing. So, uh, I, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily. I don't think I'm like overly. I think the 0 for 15 and me and being positive maybe overblown there a little bit. That might be a little
Maybe a
hyperbole.
little, but sometimes it feels like you're too positive about things.
I just tend to like just in life. I look forward to like how can we fix this and how can we move forward and I can't change the past. So can you learn from the past? Yes, and I think that's the best way of growing in life is learning from past mistakes or other people's mistakes, and so you don't repeat them or create them. Uh, but at the same time, like I still like this team, and I don't feel like dark days are ahead of us. I think that brighter days are going to be here, and honestly, we'll get to it in the offseason talk, but like a few of these plays during the season go a different way, and we're looking good, and we're in the playoffs, and we can move forward, and who knows what happens in the playoffs. But you're right. You made a great point, Jacob. We kept saying we're going to be okay. We're going to grow. These rookies are going to come in. They're going to do better. Our offensive line's going to get better, and or we're going to get Kirby back, or all these things that we were hope that happen just never came to fruition. This team just never gelled, and for whatever reason, like Dan Campbell kept a lot of the coaches kept saying we're just not executing all 11 at the same time, and it just never gelled. And one thing that'll be very apparent is that next year is going to be a very different team. We have a lot of free agents. There's going to be a lot of moving parts. You know, who knows? Frank may be coming back. We don't know. That would be awesome if that happens. But there's just going to be a lot. There's a lot of people that are on the last year of their contracts. Some of those guys might be back, but I think a lot of them won't be back, and we'll be filling them with new faces, and it'll be a new team. So we'll see how it goes. It could be better, it could be worse, frankly. But with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, I still have faith that they're going to be good. Are they perfect people? No, they're not. And there's plenty of people that are very, very mad and blame them for a lot of these things. I tend to think no one's perfect, but I'll take. It's a lot easier to get worse than those two as general manager and head coach.
Obviously, we're in a better position as a franchise than we've ever been.
Hmm.
Even to be this disappointed where we're at right now with a winning record is still,
Hmm.
days we dreamed of, years ago, where it's like it just wasn't happening every year, during week one, you kind of had a little bit of optimism, like hopefully we figure it out. And then it felt by the bye week, most years, it was like we're looking at mock drafts and stuff like that.
Yep.
So,
Hmm.
it's a way different brand of football that we're in right now. And you owe that to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. People talking about them being on the hot seat or anything like that's insane. I just don't understand how your actual like you can't follow very closely and be true fans like that if you really are calling for those two's heads. Um,
Yep.
I mean, I would even argue you could say that about certain like top tier players that we have, and that would make a little more sense than to try to cut Dan Campbell. I mean, crazy to me that that's being brought up at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely changes that need to happen in the coaching staff, players, scheme, all that stuff. And those guys are not immune to criticism. But at the same time, no one's perfect. So let them do their thing and they'll grow. Teams have off seasons. No one's in here saying Andy Reid needs to be fired because I know they've won Super Bowls. I get that. But Andy Reid also was with the Eagles forever and kept getting either the Super Bowl or an NFC championship games. And it just happened for him. You got Patrick Mahomes, right? So I don't know. I still have faith in these two guys, and this offseason is going to be very divisive. I feel like from the fan base, like last year, it started to get a little more divisive where people, were upset we didn't sign any big free agents, didn't get the defensive end. Whereas the previous year, like everyone was super on board with Brad Holmes and the decisions they made, and vibes were very positive going into the last couple off seasons. But I have a feeling that this year is going to be people on both ends. So it'll be interesting.
Right. And I'm not ready for off-season talk yet. As long as there
No,
is a 1% chance, I'm still
I,
all in.
I'm with you on there. So uh some transactions that happened on Saturday. Kirby Joseph was finally placed on injured reserve. Uh it was just the last nail in the coffin on the chances of him being brought back this year. I think him being gone, I think we're realizing, you know, cost us quite a few turnovers in the secondary. And I think it also, why Branch was healthy, it also, put a lot more pressure on Branch to do his job back there, causing him to have really not his best season. So hopefully, I
100%
mean,
agree.
I scared about Kirby's. Like it sounds like it's a serious knee thing, like that. It's not like an easily fixable thing. So I don't know, what's going to happen this offseason, but obviously we just signed him to a huge contract and I know he wants to be out there. This has nothing to do with what Kirby's desire is. He'd probably decided to be out there if he could. But hopefully they can figure something out, at least get him stable enough that he could play. However, I'm afraid that his days of being an all pro might be, if he can't have explosiveness back there, it might limit his abilities.
Right. That's tough. But, they finally called it, finally put him on IR. They don't really have to, because he had a setback recently, right? That's kind of
Yep.
what happened. He was healing, he was doing better. He kind of started ramping it up during practice, doing some work, and then he had a setback. Now, you
Yep.
know what? Now you've got plenty of time to heal up, you know, that's the thing, like you already kind of mentioned, where they've kind of alluded to that this may not be something that you can just rest and heal up, and that it may not go back to normal.
Hmm.
They said surgery is not an option, I believe, either. So, you just hope for the best for Kirby. Hope a full off season of rehab, doing things the right way, that he'll be able to get back on the field.
Yep. I mean, this is started all the way back at training camp. I mean, this thing started way back when. And, he tried to play through it, and he would even get into some games to go out and then to come right back in the same game. So there might be a certain level of pain management, but also at the same, we want this guy to be able to walk when he's retired. Like
Right,
you just
right.
don't want to, hurt this player or person's long term ability to be a human. We activated Christian Mahogany, so he was back. He played most of the snaps. I think he only missed like 3. He was limping pretty good, I guess, from the beat writers say afterwards, but that might be just because he hasn't played, 70 snaps in a long time. So we'll see. It was good to get him out there. He's still. I mean, he's still. Well, he's played less than a season full of games because he only played 2 last year. I can't remember exactly when he got injured this year, but he's probably only like up to like 8 games total or something like that for for his career. So getting him snaps is will benefit next year. So I was happy that they get him back.
Yes. But if you thought that they were gonna, you know, change up some play calling or make things easier because they had somebody fresh out there, that was not the case at all, and that was part of the running game struggles that we'll get into later.
Yep. Got a message from let's see here, from Tyler Hutt Juniors. Love talking great. I listen to every episode each work during my work days. Thank you for making great Lions contact, gents, each week. So that's
Appreciate that.
yeah. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate it, and thanks for joining us live too. And send us a message. It's always nice to get that while we're talking together. All right, Jacob. Kingsley Godwin obviously got elevated. He was the center yesterday for almost all the snaps, and then we Giovanni Ricci was elevated as well um, for the game, but. Iguaquin, I don't know what did he look like from home because obviously I'm watching it at the stadium. It's hard to keep track of all that stuff. Did you notice how he was playing? Any comments?
I did notice. I was trying to keep an eye out for him. Nothing really stood out to me that was like crazy. Like, oh man, I think he had like one or two really good blocks where even the announcers had like pointed him out. Um, Nothing too crazy that was like, oh my god, what is Kingsley doing? Like, nothing where he like completely blew it. He had a couple nice blocks. I would say it was an okay day from him. I haven't dissected everything,
Yeah,
but it was kind of weird that he went out for a drive. I think I don't know if it was a full drive, but Nice played center for a couple. He got three
yeah, 3
snaps
snaps, I
at
think.
center.
Yeah,
So I don't know exactly what happened, behind that. But I thought that Kingsley had a pretty good game stepping in for Graham. I don't think that the drop off from Graham to Kingsley was very large.
okay, that's good to hear. He got some praise from Dan Campbell during the press conference today. Said he was encouraged with what he saw, and second year player getting him some snaps, and we'll see what he can grow into next year, and maybe goes into that primary backup spot at center, depending on what happens with Graham and if Frank comes back. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts there. Whether we move Tate over, it'll be interesting. Well, which we won't know the answers to for 7-8 months. But I'm sure we'll be talking about it a lot for the next 7-8 months.
You're right.
Um, all right, special teams. I don't really have much notes on this. Jack Fox did Jack Fox things. 3 punts, 53-yard average. Jake Bates made his 1 field goal. I thought his kickoff attempts were fine. Did you have anything in special teams that caught your eye, other than
Nope.
Khalif getting blasted on that one? Lucky he caught that
Yeah.
ball.
No. Average day from special teams. Kick return. Tom Kennedy had a couple of returns, but nothing crazy this time.
Mhm.
Sailors, pretty much the same as what we've seen out of him. Just keep running until somebody hits you, and then you'll go down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was great from special teams, but
No, I think it was an okay day, all around.
there were
So.
worse phases that we went
Mhm.
through.
Yeah, and we didn't give any big kick returns up or anything like that. I mean, it's a field position was pretty average for the other team for Pittsburgh. So I didn't really, it was all right. All right. So defense, we got to talk on this defense. I'm going to start by just saying 230 yards rushing. That was abysmal. Oh, God. So bad.
I believe that it was the Steelers' record for yards per carry happened in this game against the Lions' rushing defense.
Yeah.
Just horrendous. And I don't know if you had a chance to go back and look at any of them. I don't know if you could tell live because obviously the state of the game and when they broke off those big runs, but it was just like it's hard to say who messed up because and they almost ran into Anzalone's side almost every big play they had. And Anzalone's crashing in or out. He's not. It doesn't look like he's where he's supposed to be. But that could be by design. Like he's supposed to be clearing out this blocker for one of the safeties to come up. And if he's doing that, the safety's misplaying it terribly. Avonte Maddox did not have a great game. On the one touchdown, he was blitzing from the other side. But I mean, there's too many mistakes. Too many people look out of position. They don't look ready for it. And especially for these runs to come in run formations and in running situations, I don't understand how this is happening. And both of the big plays, or I think on the three longest runs, were at Tyleek Williams, and he misplayed all three of them. So very, very discouraging, from the rushing defense. Something that we've been really able to rely on. And it makes it worse, just the disparity between, if you see that we give up 230 yards rushing, that's absolutely terrible. Had we had 200 yards rushing on offense, you could be like, man, they were running wild this game. We didn't. I mean, when have we ever been out rushed by 200 yards?
Yeah. Not during the Dan Campbell era. I mean, at least not in the era where we've been competitive with Dan Campbell.
Right.
It was just it was so deflating too, and the holes just from where I was looking at were just massive. Like, and once he got to once he got to the second level, it was over, and I was like, unbelievable. For they were just just when we were like creeping back in, and then they would just run it down our throats. And I mean, we know how that is. We know how demoralizing that is because we would prior to this year, we'd do that to other teams, especially the fourth quarter, just like they were doing to us late in the game. Just like, oh, you think you're going to come back? No, we're just going to just push it down your throats, and there's nothing you could do to stop it. It's the main reason why we haven't been great this year is that we can't do that. We can't why we haven't been consistent is because we can't do that. And other teams are doing that to us. And as bad as our pass defense has been, if we're leaving up that rushing, it's embarrassing. I I don't know how we're doing this. If we're saying, we need to stop a team rushing and we got all those big bodies up front and then we're not doing it. And I know that we're bagged up in the back end, but our front seven's pretty healthy. And there's no excuse for that.
What I noticed a couple times too is that Hutch is so far on the outside when he's rushing, he's pretty far out there, which is fine. I mean, that's what he does. That's how they play it. But if he's going to be that far outside, we can't have Tyleek. I want to say it was Tyleek almost every time, but he can't rush to that same. You're trying to get past your lineman. You're trying to beat your block. You can't beat it to the right side, and you and Hutch are both on the outside corner, and then there's nobody up the middle.
Yep.
I mean, it was just one of those things again, and the linebackers are not crashing in where they're supposed to be. They're not getting there fast enough. So they're getting 4 or 5 yards before they get contact.
Yeah.
It's wild. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't know if
and
they're
maybe
trying
that's
to
just Tyleek trying to do too much, or if that was
Yeah.
the play design. Like I said, there's sometimes where the design is, hey, the defensive tackle, the linebacker, you're clearing out this space, you're taking the blocker with the intent on somebody coming behind you to fill that hole and make the play.
Right.
And there's just nobody there.
Yep. I know. Yeah, it really is painful to watch when they, like you said, they get 4 or 5 yards before they're even touched. And then you might make a tackle there, but then all of a sudden it's 2nd and 5, and then teams can do whatever they want with you. They can run, pass. You're not making them one dimensional. It's painful. But here's the thing: even when we were stopping them on 1st and 2nd down, they were getting it. They were 8 for 16 on third downs, and Jacob, they also did so. They got so the first two, or the third and 14 was incomplete, a third and 10 was incomplete, but after that they did a third and 10, a third and 11, and a third and 10. That was on their fifth drive where they scored a touchdown. Three straight third and 10 longer they get, and then they get the crazy play that happened right before halftime, which was
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Is that was all on that same drive, and
yes,
we've seen this happen before. We finally, up until that point, it was just kind of annoying, right? It still
yeah,
felt like we're gonna break this thing open, and we're probably
yeah,
like we're gonna be okay. And then we score the touchdown, Goff to Tesla, and then they get the ball back with less than 2 minutes left. And then you're like, man, we really need to hold them. We keep letting these things go at halftime. We keep letting these teams come back,
yeah,
and then you know we it's third and 10. We give up a 11-yard catch. Then we stop them. Uh, and they had a penalty too. They had the offensive pass interference, so they're back even further. And then
yeah,
third and 11, they get 12 yards.
yeah,
Another third and 10, they get 13 yards. And there is again, which I'd be interested to see how many times this has happened. Too many men on the field on us.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's happened way too much this year. But regardless, third and 10, they get it again, and then that sets up. Hey, you know what? Anzalone's on a running back. Let's just chuck it deep and see what happens. And Anzalone's not played very well this year either, but that was kind of a crazy catch by Gainwell and be able to get up and score.
Yeah.
Just the kind of things that have been happening to us this year, especially in this game.
I know. It was right before half. You thinking, okay, the way they were going, I was like, if we hold them for a field goal, then I'm gonna be okay with this. I'll live with it. I'm not happy with it, but I'll live with it. But then they score, and not only do they score, they score on some freak play where he's on the ground, catches it, and of course it's Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball up, so that makes it even 10 times worse than really what I should feel. And the thing is that like in the stadium, you're just like I don't know what the view was at home, but in this, you're like, oh, incomplete. And then all of a sudden he gets up and starts running, and you're like, what? And then they signal a touchdown. And you're like, it just blew my mind. It's unbelievable.
Flashback of the Texans game, like that same kind of like he was down, right? And then you see the replay. It's like, oh no, he wasn't down.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be pass interference anyway because Anzalone, he was beaten. He was all over him.
Yeah.
But I would have gladly taken the pass interference.
Well, I think, yeah. I don't know. There wasn't much time left at that point. I don't think. I think that they would have. I think they would have just kicked a field goal. 'Cause I
So
think there was like 2 seconds left, right?
11 seconds is when
11 seconds. Yeah. So they
11
might take a
seconds is
one
when
shot.
he threw the ball. So I think that you're right. They probably would have been maybe somewhere in the realm of between 6 and 8 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
So yes, they might have just kicked it. They still had a timeout left too, though.
Okay. Yeah. So they probably would have did one quick
Who
play because
knows?
Tomlin is pretty conservative, though. He might have just taken the points, but either way, it'd have been better than a touchdown.
Absolutely.
Can't get worse than a touchdown. But it was just, then they, later on they did another third and 10, got a 17-yard pass, and then on the seventh drive, which they got a field goal on, third and 9, they get a 7-yard run. And then when have we seen that before? Like the Lions used to do that all the time, and then that sets up a 4th and 2. And then they got that one on that drive where they got a field goal. The seventh drive, they did they had 3 third downs and 2 4th down conversions on that seventh drive. So and then we finally stopped them on third and goal from the 7. They had a 2-yard pass, so then they had to do a field goal. So they converted 3 3rd downs and 2 4th downs. Or sorry, excuse me. They converted 1 3rd down. The third and the 2 other 3rd downs they did convert were 4th downs. So it just so frustrating because you're about to get off the field and it's so deflating in the stadium. It's really deflating because you're screaming your head off, and then eventually the decibel levels go down because you're tired of screaming and tired of being disappointed.
Yeah, right. That just really sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And on that drive too is when we, they threw the touchdown to DK, but they had the offensive pass interference because that was that huge tight end Washington smoked DJ Reed. Did you see that? You see the replay in the stadium?
Oh yeah,
where,
I saw it. Yeah, you could see it live happening, but man,
Wasn't even trying to
offense
be smooth or hide or pick or
Yeah.
whatever. He's like, no, I'm just, I'm gonna blast you and hope that the best. Hope they don't call
hope
it.
for the best. Yeah. I think that, I'm sure both teams came in the way the refs called offensive pass interference of that game. It feels like both teams told the refs watch out for these pick plays, and the re- I there was that was the most offensive pass interference I've ever seen in a football game in my life.
Right. Right. Yeah, they don't
Um,
ever call that, and they
no,
they were not afraid to be throwing those flags,
no, they
especially
were
on our
not.
last offensive drive.
Yeah, that drive was just all penalties all the way down the field, and then backwards, and then forwards. It was
Yeah,
all over the place.
both ways. It was just like, hey, this is a game-winning drive, and it felt like the NFL. These refs were just like, let's make it about us a little bit.
Yeah,
Let's keep this thing interesting.
yeah. Well, the last conference at the end was stupid too. Uh, you know, when they talk about the refs making themselves like they threw the offensive pass interference. Why did they have to discuss all that crap and drag that out forever? Like as soon as if it's offensive pass interference, the game's over. That's all they had to say. Game's over. Offensive pass interference. I don't know what, unless they were talking with New York and like trying to figure out the actual rule, and maybe that's what it. To find out. You know, I did they say anything on the broadcast? Like the refs say anything?
Not on the broadcast. I saw the pool report. Like I saw afterward where they had said they had to talk about whether it was going to be ruled a touchdown or not. The
Yeah,
Regardless, like you just said, regardless, it was gonna. They agreed, or they were calling offensive pass interference. So that part was already going to be over with. It was going to be null, but they still had to make that ruling on the field of whether that was going to be a touchdown or not before they overturned it. And I guess one was Amon-Ra short of the goal line. Two, was it a fumble or was it a pitch? And then three, did Goff make it in the end zone? Like that's all the discussion that they were having. Just
yeah,
like you said, it was already like, hey, you know what? This doesn't count, but we have to rule whether it's a touchdown or not.
yeah.
And then for him to like add a little bit of spice to it when he was like, it is a touchdown, and you can hear the crowd cheering. I can't imagine what that was like for you, because for me, it's like, what
I'll
the hell
tell
is
you.
going on?
Yeah.
And it's like it is a touchdown. However, there's offensive pass interference, and then he had to like say it twice at the end. The touchdown does not. The game is over. The touchdown does not count. The score did not count. It's like however he worded it, because you could tell like everybody's cheering in the stadium. Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So I'm up there. I heard as soon as he said the touchdown. What really confused the fans is on the scoreboard. The Lions posted 30-29. Like they posted like that we
Oh, they
like.
switched it to
So
okay.
they put it up on the board. So they didn't announce a touchdown or anything like that, but they put the score up there as the ref was saying that. So I think everyone just was really confused. And so, then there was like you said, he announced that the touchdown was good, but there's pass interference. But they I think the ref saw the reaction of the crowd and he didn't make it clear that the score did not count. And so I think that's where he came on. But by that time everyone was cheering, so no one was listening. And I had to
Right.
there was multiple people in our section that were just cheering and high fiving, and I'm like, we lost. And they're like, what? I'm
Yeah.
like, it doesn't count. We lost, guys. And I had to I had to be the bearer of bad news for a lot of people in our section. And it was
It was like the
my
Golden Tate
boys.
thing,
Oh yeah, the God,
where he
yes,
catches it. You think he scored. They rule that he's in. They review. He's not in, and there's a 10-second runoff. The game's over. There's nothing you can do about it.
yeah,
It's that same
nothing you
exact
can
kind of thing where you just
do.
sit there, you listen to the ref, determine your fate. Honestly, at that point, I mean, we're gonna switch over and talk about the offense anyway. At that point, though, it was like I knew that it wasn't gonna count. I knew the flag. I knew like everything was happening. I was like, there's no way that this stands, especially
Yeah,
after what they've been calling. But it, I had already let out my frustrations with the Tesla pass interference thing on the first play that we had from the one.
hmm
That was such a horrendous call, and that's what I had texted you before too. Is like they threw a flag on you know every effing play.
yeah,
It just
hmm
felt like that whole way on that last drive,
yeah,
and they had the pass interference on JMO, which was pass interference, and we needed that one. That was on fourth down. They had the
hmm
tripping call. They called false start. They called the offensive pass interference on Tesla. that one was the worst of them. I could live with the Amon Ra thing. I mean, he definitely pushed off, yes, that's OPI. Do they usually let that happen and don't call it? Absolutely. And it irked me to no end. You know that. Like, I hate that they get
Yep.
away with that.
Yep.
I'd have been okay with it this time, but, that one was bad. But the Tesla thing was not, I mean, that was a plays on the goal line, and the defender's the one making the contact and pushing. And then
Yes.
afterward, they had to talk, in the same pool report. Like, it was determined that he was not on the line of scrimmage, that he was further than the line, and that the offensive players won that engaged. It's like, okay, well, you're wrong. Thank you. It's over. Like, that one should have counted.
Yeah, I
And
think the only
that
thing
was the
that
frustrating
looks
thing.
the looks is like it almost I think it's confusing for the ref because it looks like Tesla like dips his shoulder into the defender, but I think it's because he was engaged in a block. Like, the defender was hitting him into the Steelers, whoever was,
He had
pressing
right.
it, pressed them right into the other defender. And it kind of created that situation just on their own. So I agree with you that that one probably was ticky tack. The Amon Ra one definitely was PI. And I thought Amon-Ra thought he could get away with that on the last play of the game. I really thought, he's probably like, I got
Right.
a little more
Well,
leeway
because
at the
they
last
usually
play of the
do.
game. Yes.
They usually let that go. Yep.
The thing that I'm, yes, I'm upset the Lions lost. What I'm really upset is that robbed us from a Jared Goff dive into the end zone. Like, how crazy that'd be up there with to me, like, had that happened like that way without the pass interference and they scoop it and he throw it, that would put it up with the Stafford fake spike jump over, versus the
True.
Cowboys.
True.
That would put it up there with me, like on that level with no way this just happened. This is like, you know, Amon-Ra catches it in the end zone. Cool, great play. No, Amon-Ra catches it at the one, you know, flips it up, and how his elbow or nothing else knee touched the ground before he lateraled that, I don't know. And the fact that all the Steelers guys are confused, and then Jared Goff like rumbles and jumps into the end zone. I didn't even know it was Goff that went in the end zone until I saw the replay because it was just madness, and it's all the way at the other end of the end zone from where I'm at. So like it was the furthest possible it could be away from me. But I am more mad that they robbed us from that great ending than anything. And it's a fair call that it was pass interference. I'm not arguing that the ref shouldn't have called that, but it I'm mad that it robbed us from that great ending. To be there and to say I was there, I was at that game, just like you were at the Stafford game. How cool, you were
Exactly.
there.
Right. Right.
I wanted to be there for like an amazing ending like that.
Yeah. No, it would have been an all timer for sure.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Really unfortunate. And it also would have made us forget how lousy the rushing attack and how bad we
Mm-hmm.
had played earlier in the game.
Yep.
Similar to the Giants, where that huge run by Gibbs in overtime made us forget how bad that game was. That would have, been the talk of the town. It would have been less about 12 rushing yards and more about that crazy last play.
Yep.
But as it stands, that did not count, and here we are. Having to discuss Jahmyr Gibbs 7 carries for 2 yards, David Montgomery 4 carries for 14 yards. That just can't happen for the Lions to win football games. And I mean, Goff had a pretty good game. I think the way to beat the Lions or the way to beat any team is if you can control the ball the entire third quarter. If you can take an entire quarter away from the team.
Yeah.
We had the
That
ball for
helps you
3
win.
plays and we had negative 2 points. Like, we gave them the safety up on those plays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Insanity. Yep. And there was no other scoring. That was the third quarter. Just they had those 2 points. That was it in the third quarter. 12-10 going into the fourth.
Yeah. It again, second straight third quarter game that we just did. Like third quarter was like
gone.
Was
like they're
bad.
just not.
Yeah, like I mean, this was like the last one we had 2 3 and outs. This one we managed to, I understand we have terrible field position. I get that, but then we gave up the safety, and you're giving up 2 points, and especially in a game that was low scoring at the time, that was gonna be, um, that was gonna be it. I don't get the golf hate at all, to be honest with you. Like there's people, like I said at the top, people are looking for someone to blame. And, people want golf to be more mobile. That's not it. Golf Goff played a good game. I mean, I don't know what else you want the guy to do. Um, I guess he could have ran in one in at the end. Like he could have like one of those passes that looked like he could have maybe ran the ball in. Uh, it looked like he had a wide open lane. But I also understand from Goff that we didn't have any timeouts. So if you run and don't get it, you've lost. We maybe can run one more play. So because we might either have to spike it or whatever. So I don't know. I don't blame Golf for any of that. In fact, I think he's had a really good season. 30 plus touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I mean, over 4,000 yards. And it's not like garbage time stuff. We've been in every
Right,
game.
right.
It's not like a Stafford type. He's not stat Patford or whatever. They used to say. Matt, what'd they say? Matthew, I can't remember what the thing was. He just pad his stats. It's not that. I mean, he's been in every game. This is the real Jared Goff, and he's able to maneuver the pocket enough to make throws. Now, would I like someone like Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, of course I would like someone like that that could throw, or Josh Allen, but those guys are few and far between. We could also have Justin Fields that can maneuver the pocket, but can't hit a wide open, can't hit a wide receiver for a damn. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that everything played out the way that it did, and we still had that final drive to try to go down and win the game is crazy to me. But
Yeah.
I mean, that the whole second half, right? So we get a fumble on them, and we get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Start with it at was it? We start with it at the 3 yard line. Incomplete pass, catch by Gibbs. Then we get the safety.
Yep.
So then they go on another long drive. The whole rest of the third quarter, we get the ball back. Incomplete pass, false start. So then it's 2nd and 15. So then we've already kind of like, if we were going to run, we'd have to run it right there. And we decide to throw incomplete pass, incomplete pass. That's the other 3 and out. And then we've
Yep.
got to punt it again. And then they had that huge rushing touchdown. And at that point, now it's 22-10. And now it's fourth quarter. Now you do have to primarily throw the ball. So that's why the rushing game was not really happening. It just, the opportunity never came up. It did in the first quarter, and they were shutting it down, or the first half, and they were shutting it down in the first half. We were not having much space. I mean, the offensive line was not holding up against this defensive line. In a lot of these like pull plays, the guards were not getting over there quick enough. It was way too easy for them, to crash down on these runs. If you're going to run that play, you're relying on your guard to be able to get out there and beat that edge. I don't have it in front of me right now, and obviously I'm sure it worked a couple of times, but I mean, the glaring ones are the ones where it didn't work, and all of a sudden, Gibbs -4 yards. I think Demo had another one that was negative. Demo had one nice run. Gibbs with the middle -3 yards. That it just kept happening. That's what we do, though. We're not going to change up our scheme. We're not going to call it any differently. I know Mahogany's playing on a hobbled leg. You had a new center back there. I mean, it just didn't work out, both for opportunity and execution, in my opinion. I mean, when we had the chance, we weren't executing, and then the chance was taken away from us.
Yeah, I would say that, obviously the defense is really, I don't say to blame, but, it's the reason why we're in the position we are with our record, especially as of late. However, I will say that the offense could help them a little bit by getting some first downs in that third quarter. If we get out of there, we reduce, change the field position a little bit. You give them a little bit rest because you just said it. They had that long drive, get all the way down into the red zone. They fumble it, right? When we get it for 3 plays, and then they get it again, and then they have like a really long drive again. Like, let's see, how many plays?
Well, that
was
one wasn't the long. So our drive was 51 seconds. Then they have a drive that's 9 minutes and 44, and they scored a field goal. Then our next drive is 33 seconds.
Yeah, that's what
and
I'm
then
saying.
their next drive is only 2 minutes, but that was the long rushing touchdown. And you're
The
right, that
defense
probably
is
was
wiped out.
everybody's gassed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they held it for 9 plays for 65 yards, then they fumble. Then we have it 3 plays, -3 yards. We hold it for 51 seconds. Then they get it for 17 plays, 64 yards. So, at that point in the second half, they've run it 26 plays to our 3 at that point. And then we run it for 3 more plays. Like you just went over, and then yes, they 4 plays touchdown, but maybe they're not gassed and they don't give up a 45-yard run because you're just winded. So y- the offense is doing enough to win these games, but at some point, you know, it would be really helpful to the defense to give them a little bit of rest as opposed to a 3-and-out down there. Um, but has it question for you. So I'm gonna go back to Monty. I don't know if you looked at the snap counts. Have you looked over them at all?
Mm-mm.
How many snaps do you think Monty got in the game?
How many total offensive snaps we have? 74, 75,
74. 74 is total.
20.
13 snaps. He had 13
Okay.
snaps the whole game.
That's what
Gibbs
they
had
keep doing to him.
Yeah.
They keep doing that to Monty every single week. And I
Yep.
mean, Monty's the one that had the 17-yard run. He had
Yeah.
patience behind the line. He waited for his time and he broke one out.
Yep. Yeah, Gibbs had 64. Now, my feeling is that since Laporta's out, they're looking for weapons that they can get out in the pass game a little bit more, and it seems like ever since Laporta's out, Gibbs it's got even more out of
Yeah.
whack. It's been you know it's been definitely heavy Gibbs this whole season, more so than previous years. Although since Laporta's went out, I don't have the exact numbers, but I could tell you that that percentage is higher um, since Laporta's out. And I get it. You want to have another pass catcher out there. But if you want to live on the run game, like you said, Monty's like was the patient one and was able to be able to get some yardage. I I don't get it. I don't I don't understand. I'm not saying we
We've been
give
saying this every week, though.
yeah,
I
I know.
mean,
I I don't understand
sorry, go
what
ahead.
I don't understand, and it's going to be interesting what we do in the offseason with Monty. If we're going to cut him out this much, then the last thing I want to see him is go back to Chicago and I have to face him because I know he,
Mm.
I don't want to think about that or
they
Green
they
Bay
don't
or
need him.
something.
DeAndre Swift is the leading Pro
Yeah,
Bowl running back for the
yeah,
NFC. Remember?
yeah. I know. You told me that it was like kicking me while I was down, uh, but no, I I know JMO had a pretty good game. Amon Ra had another key drop, during the game, which I don't, man, I'm hoping that that gets cleaned up next year. I'm hoping that's just like an anomaly
I
for this
feel
one
like he
year
had
thing.
somebody right, like they had a hand on it though, or like were
Yeah.
right on him. I don't think it was like the other drops that he's had.
Yeah.
Wasn't
No,
quite as bad.
I get you. We'll comment here real quick from one of our listeners, WMW2. He listens quite a bit. It says, have Goff throw 35 plus passes. That's not good for the Lions. And I agree with that. But I don't think it's necessarily because of Goff. It's because that means we're not running the ball well.
We are 1-5 this year when Goff throws 35 plus.
Mm-hmm.
1 win, 5 losses. Do you have a guess when that 1 win was?
Bears?
That was the Giants game that went into overtime.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't blame that on Goff though. That just means that we're not running the ball. That's what that means. And when we don't,
Right.
People want to get it confused and be like, all you have to do to stop Goff is stop the run game. This isn't a great example of Goff being able to still be good offensively even without the run game. He still did a good job. Got sacked 3 times, didn't turn the ball over, goes 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. I could live with that, man. I mean, that's good.
Still a high passer rating.
Yeah. You know, it is what it is. I mean, I know a lot of that stuff comes from Rams people, and you'll see that like because they're very bitter about his time. His time there. And thing was like when Gurley wasn't good, then all of a sudden Goff went bad. Well, Goff's a different player now. And yes, if you have a good running game, is Goff going to be better? Yes, but any quarterback is going to be better with a good run game. I don't care who you are. And you might say you might neutralize Goff more because he needs to play extra pass. That may be true, but he still could play well even if he doesn't have the run game. However, that isn't best for the team because you can't wear down the other defense. You become less predictable, or you become more predictable. Like
Right.
those type of things is why our record is it is. It has nothing to do, in my opinion. It has very little to do with Goff. It has more to do with the offensive line as a general and just the team not doing well blocking in front of them.
Definitely.
What else on the offense do you want to talk about? Any other Ferkser? You want to talk about Ferkser getting heavy rotation early on?
He had a good first couple drives, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought, oh man, might have missed my grit guarantee by week. He might score if we keep feeding him. But
Yeah,
I think it was only the first two drives, right? And then he kind
yeah,
of switched back out. Zylstra
yeah.
played most of the game, so
Tesla's
it was nice
touchdown
to have that
catch.
weapon back out there again,
It
right?
was. Yeah. Tesla's touchdown catch. That was in my end zone, the one he caught. And I could not believe he caught
Nice,
that. It was, you're like, you like see him go up and then just get hit right away. And you're like, did he hold on? And you get up and see him celebrate. And you're like, oh my God, he held on. It was unbelievable.
right. Seen that slow mo, like it looks like a claw on the ball. Like that's how he's got to hold on to it because he's got two people hitting him.
Yeah.
Crazy. He actually just saw, I think, had like 4 catches, right? It wasn't like
4
he only had
catches,
one catch for
6
the touchdown this
targets.
time.
Yep.
Decent
Almost
game
had,
from Tesla.
yep. Had one.
Uh,
Had one he dropped in, at the end there. That was a tough catch, but
yeah,
one of the throws that went to the end zone there was an OPI. At least didn't throw a flag yet. Maybe if
right.
you caught it, they would have come up with something.
They would have found, yeah, right. Khalif Raymond, 4 catches, 62 yards and a
Mhm.
touchdown. And that was nice, just kind of a crossing route.
Yeah,
Hit him over the middle, and he was too fast, got down over there.
yeah,
That was nice, and that was a big moment too. That was like, thank
yeah,
God, man. We just needed that so bad.
yeah. That was another thing. The crossing route. They for a while they were going. They stopped doing the crossing routes. Those are what this team is built on, and they just got away from it, and then all of a sudden the offense went stagnant, and then they go back to it, and they're scoring touchdowns. Yeah, it was nice to see Raymond get in there. I mean, this could be Raymond's last home game. That might be it. Um, I was glad to
I
see
hope not,
Tesla.
but you're right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious what they're gonna do. Tesla definitely outsnapped him in the 41 snaps to Raymond's 19 snaps. So they're setting it up for Tesla.
That doesn't mean that Raymond doesn't have value still in the punt return, kick return game, and somebody that knows the offense and somebody that can come
Mhm.
in injuries or just different situations like that. I mean, that's a good person to have on the team,
Mhm.
especially Khalif is not going to cost you $15 million a year.
No.
Right
Yeah,
now,
we'd have to
Khalif's
get him back.
average $4 million a year. $4 million a year. I think you'd have to get him at a lower rate than that, and that
Mhm.
may be the question: where does he take that, or does he try to go elsewhere?
Yep. Well, they all it's whether someone wants to sign him for the kick return game. I mean, for pass catcher, he is what he is. But he is an all pro kick returner, maybe not this year, but he has that in his pedigree. So he is getting older. So we'll see. That'll be interesting offseason talk. Tesla, it was good to see him get 6 targets. I was happy to see them to start trust him. And also I was happy to see, like we talked about Ferks, or Golf went away from just JMO and Amon Ra. A lot of other people were touching the ball, which for the offense as a general, that's good. For the growth of these players, that'll be good for next year. So, I hate this looking forward to next year, but there are some benefits to this. And I'm hoping Tesla has a couple of good games left in him for the rest of the year going into the offseason. And then he's, you start seeing him at training camp and he's like, "Go Tesla looks like a different player. He can run a lot more of the routes. He's ready." That's what I'm hoping to hear.
Definitely, that's what we need.
Yep. One thing that was also interesting is that Dan Skipper only played 1 snap this whole game. Usually we're bringing him in. Bringing him in for jumbo sets. We decided not to do that. I'm thinking that we decided to spread the ball out as opposed to, bringing in Dan Skipper.
Well, could be a key reason why we lost, not
Yeah.
having an extra lineman on those rushing plays.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whatever they decide to do, it just obviously wasn't enough. But again, I put this more on the defense than I do the offense. I think the offense, did enough to win this game, and we came one penalty away from actually doing it. Anything else you want to talk on the offense?
Nope. I'm moving on. I'm ready.
All right. We'll review our roar alert real quick. I said Jack Campbell. He did get a fumble recovery. I thought Jack played pretty good for the game. He didn't get a pick or anything like that, but he did recover the key fumble that he was down there. You said Jameer Gibbs. I will give you credit because he did break Barry Sanders' record. Now he's 48 touchdowns before the age of 24. It's pretty awesome that the two people at the top of that list are Lions running backs. I love seeing that. But he only had 2 yards rushing. So I think we discussed before, and we're not giving you credit for the roar alert, even though he broke a Barry Sanders record.
10 catches, 66 yards, and a touchdown. But you wanted your running back to have a good day on the ground, and he did not. So I'm not counting this one for me.
Yeah. I predicted in the grit guarantee the Lions will score over their average. Probably it's my fault then, right, Jacob? Because if they hit that touchdown, then they get to 30. I don't know if they make up kick the extra point. I don't know if that's like I don't know if they just called the game over because it would have been at the end, or the Lions would have probably taken a 2-point and just like kneeled it so that nothing bad could happen. So I think even if they score that,
it's not like overtime. I think they have to run a play, right? Because there's a chance the Steelers could have blocked it and bring it back or whatever.
Yeah. Well, if you're smart, you just run the 2-point, you just kneel it and say game over.
Exactly.
That's what you do. I know you had to tell me because I don't know the answer to this. Did Aaron Rodgers get into any verbal altercations with his own team?
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but he did actually. So it was like right away the first drive. I think there was like an incomplete pass or something, and I could tell by looking at his face and like he's talking. I was like, oh my God, he's gonna lose it on somebody already. And I knew this was mine. I was like, I'm gonna get this. He never had the blow up that I thought he was going to, but he did. Like the hot mic caught him. I think they had to call a timeout on this play where he, he's at the line. He calls, I think, Jonnu Smith in a motion or however. He was supposed to motion somewhere and he didn't. And like right in the middle, Roger says, "What the F are you doing?" Like Mike catch him. He said, "What the F are you doing?" And then they have to call a timeout. So I'm gonna count that as berating your own team.
All right, and then
that was the fun one though. That was not the one that mattered, the one that I wanted.
Yeah. You said defense holds Steelers to less than 300 yards. They held them to less than 300 yards rushing. I'll give you that, but not 300 yards.
Barely.
Okay. Yeah, 70 plays, 481 total yards. Did not come close to your prediction. Justin May, the rapper, he said the Steelers chested the Lions. Steelers chested the Lions should have won it. I'm ticked off about those games, and the refs screwed us. I'm gonna say there was probably some calls in there that shouldn't have been called that, but I also like probably that Tesla thing, the Tesla one. But even at that, they would have had 22 seconds left. Well, and they could have easily came down and got it. Well, I won't say easily. They had 22 seconds left, no timeouts, and then they would have had to kick a field goal.
You would have hoped it would have been a struggle, but
yeah,
based on how the rest of the game was going, and the thing that happened at the half, would not have been all that surprising for them to kick a 60-yarder and try to still get it.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, no, if you want to say the ref screwed us, I would solely put that on the OPI on Tesla on that play.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think you'd say they made a very bad call. At the same time, there's just so many chances and so many times where we should have just taken it to the Steelers team and we didn't. I mean, the Lions are the ones that left it out there. We did not do enough when we should have.
Agree. I'm right with you. All right, we haven't talked about this yet, but we're going to talk about now. The DK Metcalf punch heard around the world got suspended for 2 games today. Did you see the amount of money it's costed DK for this suspension?
I did not. Lay it on me. What do we got?
$555,000. 2 game checks. So over $500,000 that punch. If you're going to do that, you might as well knock the guy out, man.
It's weird because I saw the whole video. I saw the thing live when it happened. When I texted you, I said DK punched a fan, which is funny because you thought I was faking and you didn't know. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That really happened? Yes. Yeah. Twitter, look it up. I saw the whole thing though, and I guess he's had a history with this fan, but I don't know. He walks up to him, he grabs a shirt, and he pulls him down a little bit, and then as he's letting his shirt go, he purposely shoves and swipes up at him. You
Yeah.
can't do that. And then
Yeah.
the people around the fan are saying that he yelled DK's full name. And I guess that's all it took for DK to get mad and come over there. But, now the controversial part is that DK says that the fan said a racial word and made some sort of comment about his mother.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fans already got a lawyer involved in everything. Like, this reminds me of the Miles Garrett thing. When Miles Garrett swung that helmet, the first thing that came around is he said that, some racial terminology was used.
Yeah.
Well, there's 20 other players and referees on the field, and nobody else heard that except for Miles Garrett.
Yeah.
And it's easy for DK to say that's what he said, and he's probably going to appeal this and everything. But, I mean, if
The
the
thing
fan
is,
said something like that, the fan should be banned, right? You should
yeah.
absolutely throw them out. You shouldn't be able to go to
Mhm.
any more games anymore. It doesn't change the fact that you swiped to somebody. Like, why were you
Yeah.
over there to begin with?
That's right. That's the thing. Why are you even over there? Why even get over there? Why even engage in that kind of stuff? And if it's truly like that person saying that, then you get security involved. Like you don't put yourself in that situation. Like you said, any language like that is completely unacceptable and should not be used by anyone. Uh, I don't care if they make $1 million or whatever they make. They don't deserve to be talked to like that. They're a human being, but if you're DK Metcalf, you can't put your hands on a fan. I don't care what they say, you know. Outside of like you being endangered for your own safety or someone else's safety like near you, you don't do that. So, you got to be smart enough to not put, yourself in that situation. We also know that DK's got a short fuse. He just does. Like he on the field he gets a short fuse and, apparently this guy, him and the thing is that like if he knows that like he had a history like with this guy, why even engage in that? Just
Right.
ignore it.
That's the thing too. If they said that he might have a history of a fan. If you've seen that guy in the stands, wouldn't you would purposely like stay away or purposely
Right.
tune him out or like what? Why would you ever think? Well, I'm gonna go up and see. I'm gonna see how he's been lately.
Yeah,
What? What are you doing?
I know. I think it's insane that they can't do anything during the game. Like New York can't get involved in that because there's no flag on the field. You
Right.
assaulted a fan during the game. You can't tell me like the fan could have pressed charges. Like he could have called security. Like if I get in a fight in the stands, the security comes over and they're gonna say, yeah, you know, this guy did this, whether they have camera on me or not. I mean, they had the camera on him. There was no like getting around any of that. The camera caught that interaction. So, and what's interesting is that the cameraman had to notice that. Like the camera's pointed straight at it. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Right.
I don't get
That's true. I guess I never thought about like why are you so in tune or how did you get that so quickly?
yeah. Yeah, like
Maybe
I
they just
don't
have somebody on
understand.
DK watch like this
Well,
guy's a
that or
little
they
bit
got a
crazy.
sideline reporter hearing some stuff, and he's like, "Get," they're probably saying, "Get the camera over there so
Right.
that they could check it out." But it he should have been thrown out and like thrown out that game. And of course, I'm saying that because I want him out of the game. But to me, you assaulted a fan. Like, there's no call for any of that. You need to be thrown out of the game. And it'd be one thing if the fan ran on the field and he was scared and so like he did that, but the guys in the
Right.
stands and you walked over there. So like that's where I draw the line. It's insane.
I think that's where the appeal is going to be lost too. Is that, hey, whatever this guy was yelling. This is not your first year in the league. You know that people are going to yell stuff. They're going to try to get a rise out of you. Whatever he was yelling, you can't walk over there under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Like you just can't do that.
Yeah,
Which is
it's
unfortunate for me because I have DK in my dynasty league, and he didn't have a very good game this week. But I was hoping that he was going to do better the next couple.
not gonna happen. All right, the other thing, someone cool was at the game. I don't know if they put it on the TV or not. I know they put it on Twitter, but Tarek Skubal was at the game. I don't know if you knew that or not. And
I saw him at the Pistons. I did not see if they did show him like in the broadcast. I missed it. I was at
okay,
Christmas with my parents, my brother and sister, and everything.
okay.
So
Yeah, so he was there. Sarah, so they posted on Twitter, and then Sarah obviously got the binoculars out. She's like, he's signing autographs right in front of the DJ booth. Like Sarah's the best at this binocular. She knows
She's really
where
good,
it's
right?
at. She is. She's amazing, and
She can
I love
find
it.
anybody in that stadium.
She can.
Uh,
You know, Eminem was at the game again, which is cool. And so okay, Jacob, they got this cool new thing that they're doing. I have not had this email to me before from the Lions, but it's called Fan Cam, and I've never had this before. But you click on it, and then you put where your seats are. Like I found the boys and I and my wife in the stands. So then you click on you like basically snap a picture, and then once you do that, it just takes a picture it shows you a picture they must have taken a picture every 15 minutes during the game. So I could see myself in those seats every 15 minutes. And you don't know that
like
it's happening.
yelling in the moment, or
Yeah, like one picture is pressing with his hand on his head, and it's towards the end of the game. So I think it's like they just made a bad call or something like that. And
that's awesome though.
yeah, it was pretty cool that to see like the reactions of you throughout the game. And I was like, please don't have me showing me looking at my phone this whole time because it'll make me look bad. But
Right.
no, I was totally engaged in the game, and it was a pretty neat thing. So I got the email.
Had we won, that'd have been a perfect like.
Oh, I know.
Stuff like
at the end, yeah. But if you
Man.
got that email, like if you're listening to this and you got that email, click on it. It's pretty cool to just be able to see some. They're fully candid photos of you throughout the game. So I like that. I told Sarah about it, but I haven't showed her yet. So I'll show her after we get done recording tonight. But it was pretty cool.
That's awesome technology.
Yeah, it was amazing, and it was amazing how like clearly you could see us. Like it's not blur. I mean, it's not like 4K, but it's very clearly that you could see us. And
it's
so I don't
obvious
know
that
where
it's
the
you.
camera is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not like for you.
Yeah, it's not you're not squinting your eyes to see you. It's pretty clear. Like, so I don't know where the camera's at, but it's every seat in the house that you can get. So it's
Right.
pretty
Right.
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I check that out. If you're listening and you got it. So
It catches you crying after the game.
oh my god, yeah, I could have caught it. And he could have caught
You're
me.
throwing your hat down in the stands.
Yeah, and saying throwing an F bomb or sticking my finger up.
Right.
Didn't do any of that. And then in the game, I got my kids next to me, but there were plenty people. The guy behind me, like you've ever heard, I know you're bet because you and I both know sports so well that you hear like just people that don't know what they're talking about behind you,
Yeah.
and
Right.
you
And are
want to
very
say
loud about it.
something. Yeah, like he's talking about Malik Willis, like with the Packers. Like, yeah, he used to be on our team, and I'm like, no, Malik Willis was
Right.
never on our team. There was people that wanted him on our team. There was people that wanted us to draft him, but it was like I kept hearing him say that, and then towards the end of the game, he's like, oh, let's about time for our first third and out. I'm like, no, we had 2 3 and outs earlier in the game. Like, I it's so hard for me to not like turn around and say something, but it's not my place. And it is what it is.
Those are the same people that argue on Twitter too. It's like you
Yes.
had all the fact checking available, like everything was available to you before you made this post, and you still did
Exactly.
this.
Yeah, no, and then when you call them on it, then they change it to a totally different thing, and they change their argument,
Or just
and they
delete
still
everything, or
yeah, or they just like say start calling you names.
Yep, that's a good defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Get ready because it's hot on Twitter right now, and it's going to be hot for a while because people are peeved about everything.
Yeah, I've been laying low. I don't need any more negativity.
Yeah, I've kind of pick and choose who I'm like looking at, but then you get into the comments sometimes and you see stuff. But like I like Anthony between the numbers. He has he's probably more positive than I am with his thing. So like but he's like one thing I like about Anthony is that if you have a discussion with him, like he's able to rationally discuss it with you, and you could come to an understanding. And even if you don't agree, you're not name calling, and you're just like, okay, this is what I believe, and that's what you believe, and that's fine, and whatever. There's no scorekeeping or anything like that. So I like that. And Morgan, if I really want to see some arguing, I just go to Morgan Cannon's Twitter, and he just calling people whatever he wants to call them.
He cannot control himself when he sees an idiot online.
No, if he sees an idiot,
Well,
he
most of the time these people are, getting a rise out of him on purpose.
Yep. My favorite is when he brings out the Marine Corps certificate when they start calling him a pansy or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like he's got like the
Right.
ultimate trump card.
He's just got that in his favorites. He's like, oh nope, here we go.
Yep. Yeah,
Get ready to
exactly.
feel stupid now.
Yeah, exactly. No, we got to get Morgan back on here. It'll be off season soon enough. We'll have time to get them on. He does
Right. Haven't talked
he's
to him
been
in a
doing
minute.
more with Pride of Detroit, so he's been pretty busy. But we'll have some time later on and get guys some passing time on. We'll have a little more time to do. I think Jacob and I talked about this before. Like we might do 2 shows a week, like shorter shows, like 30, 40-minute shows during the off season. Then where we could have some few more guests and stuff on. We'll see how it goes with the off season, but that's kind of what we're thinking of doing. Instead of doing like one really long show, maybe 2 shorter shows just to see. We'll play it by ear, but I think that might be a cool way to go.
And we're holding out hope that will be a few months away.
Yeah, man, there's yeah, we could. I mean, we still could pull this out, right? Packers lose 2 and we win 2, but we have not won back-to-back games in quite a long time. So, asking us to win 3 in a row was probably a pretty big ask, but I had faith and I had belief, but got shaken a little bit yesterday, that's for sure.
I mean, it just sucks to have to rely on other teams.
Yep.
Especially like we need to beat the Vikings, then we need the Vikings to beat the Packers.
I know. Yeah.
It's a hard ask.
Yeah, especially when the Vikings are going to be, they've been in off-season mode for a little bit now, and
and McCarthy hurt.
Yeah, McCarthy's out. There's no way Brosmer's coming in and leading them past the Packers if they want to get in the playoffs. And I know people want to say about Jordan Love being out, but whether the Malik Willis can run that offense, and they almost seem somewhat more dangerous with Malik Willis in there because of Malik Willis's legs. I don't know if it's because the Bears weren't prepared for that, and then he came in, but Malik Willis is not this huge drop off from Jordan Love, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, we've talked about that several times. He's not. Yeah. It's, I mean, like how most of the time you would think there's a considerable, like, okay, they're starting quarterbacks out. Like you said, I think that Malik Willis is just about as dangerous just because you don't know what's coming out. He only had 2 incomplete passes that whole game.
Yeah.
And then Malik ended up rushing for how many yards? 44 rushing yards, too. Malik Willis is kind of like if Justin Fields could be more accurate with the ball.
Yeah, I don't think he's as good a runner as Justin Fields, but yeah, you're right. And some
he
of that
picks
might
his
be
spots better. He's not run first.
No, he's not. And we've talked to Dusty, Evely, that's the Packers guy that we have on the podcast, and he said the offense is like totally different when they get Malik in there. They could do a lot more of the RPOs and like just different stuff that they're not doing with Jordan Love. And the fact that they can run that with him being just getting backup snaps is pretty amazing to me. But it also means I think Malik Willis is, he might be in line for a bigger contract, whether he goes back, because I could see another team wanting to take a chance on him next year if
maybe
if he gets out on the free market, and the Packers might not be able to pay him, backup money, especially with with the Micah and all that.
Exactly,
stuff.
A lot of big contracts.
Yep. So, all right, man. You got anything else before we head out of here?
Nope. Moving on.
No 80s movies.
No, did not have time for any 80s movies.
Did you watch any Christmas movies with your kids this weekend?
We did. Which one did we just watch? We watched The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. They've got a couple of different Christmas specials. It's like an animated thing. It's only like an hour long, and those are kind of funny, like on Disney Plus. I forget the last one that we watched. We watched Elf, Grinch. I watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Nobody else watches that one with me.
You really?
Home Alone.
Do you not allow your kids to do it, or
it's one of those things where in the past, like I just haven't let them, and then it's like, you know what, maybe I should show JJ. But then I thought about when they ruined Back to the Future, and I was like, nah, just forget it. It's like, I'll wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So you're not
two
gonna
week
ruin this one for me right now.
yeah, 2 weekends ago when Preston was gone, um, Bradley, Sarah, and I wanted to watch a Christmas movie, and Bradley picked the movie, and it was National Lampoons, and Bradley likes that movie, and so we watched it, and there's just so many hilarious. That is my favorite Christmas movie. It is the best one.
I
So
actually
many
thought
good
about
lines.
that too. Is that I think that I mean when you're an adult and you've got kind of like the nostalgia and a little bit different. Obviously, it's '80s, so I mean, not that I was alive during that time,
Yeah,
but I still remember what those things were like and everything like that. And for there's a couple little funny things that happen. I just don't know if they're gonna appreciate it. So that helps to hear that Bradley actually liked that
Bradley
movie.
really likes it, and so like Saturday, we decided to watch a Christmas movie. We watched the Packers Bears. Sarah's like, "Let's watch a Christmas movie," and Preston and I both looked at Sarah and like, "Packers Bears. We're not. We're
Yeah.
no. We're watching that." And then it was like afterwards. So we started Home Alone after. Well, Preston wasn't with us, and he wanted National Lampoons. That was his first choice too. He's like National Lampoons. We're like, we just watched it last weekend. He goes, all right, then Home Alone. So we started Home Alone. Didn't get very far before we all fell asleep because we didn't start it till after the Packers Bears game. But yeah, National Lampoons is probably the number one. Preston did watch Elf earlier. They like that one too. But I say National Lampoons hands down best Christmas movie.
Do you like Elf or no?
I do like Elf. I think it's Elf is
Okay.
yeah. Uh, it's like a perfect Will Ferrell. Like I like when Will Ferrell's like I like old school Will Ferrell, like the movie Old School, like where
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not like the main guy. I think he's funnier, like in like
We're
little
going
bits.
streaking.
Going streaking straight through the quad gymnasium. Uh, the KFC still open. And I like him in the side. I like him in the side roles, but Alpha's like a perfect movie for him, like to be the main character, like really quirky. It's so Preston, I don't know if I told you this, but Preston is in the school newspaper. So he
Hmm.
joined it
And
this
he
year.
reviewed it, right?
Yeah, he reviewed it. So he like his argument was whether it was the best, modern Christmas classic. So he went through like, what he thought what makes a good Christmas movie. And so like then he went through like why that fits it, and he had like all the money data and all this stuff to go with it. So it was really good article, and I agree. It's probably since 2000 it's definitely probably the best Christmas movie. Some people may argue Polar Express or even the Grinch animated, or even the Jim Carrey Grinch. Did Jim
But
Carrey
that's what I
Grinch?
was gonna say.
Yeah, that would be up there too. Um, those would be up there. But to me, the Elf is. I think that's one of the best Christmas movies. Like definitely modern since 2000s. Probably my favorite.
Yeah, I put that up there with the Jim Carrey Grinch one. I mean, Home Alone 1 and 2 are my favorites. But
Yeah.
then Elf the Grinch are both like on the same tier, and then National Lampoon, I mean, that's, Christmas Vacation, I just like that one. But that's something I honestly like watch by myself every year because it's like,
Yeah.
like I said, not sure if anybody else. I know Deanna does not care for it. Deanna doesn't like
How?
stupid humor and things like that. I mean, right. It's another one of those things where it's like I'm just gonna stop showing you these movies because if you're gonna ruin them,
I don't know. I don't know how you could not like National Lampoons. There's just so many things that I will say on a day to day basis that comes from that movie. Like it just cousin Eddie's like he's like all I got is piece of government plastic
yeah,
between and
right.
he's like and then he's like I don't want to go down. He's like because my part runs right down down there like he
Yeah,
just
my
does
hair
like
just won't look right.
my hair just won't look right. That's right.
So
Uh,
every time she starts the microwave, I
my
pee my pants and forget who I am for 30 seconds.
yes.
No, that's good.
C- cousin Eddie is
Rosie
like
though,
batting 1,000. Yeah.
Rosie has been obsessed with Home Alone 2.
Mm,
She watches it every day, and I don't know,
okay.
like she likes that one better than the other one. She
Hmm.
also calls it Home Alone 3, no matter how many times we've corrected her.
Okay.
That one's Home Alone 3.
Yeah. Yeah. There's only two Home Alones: the Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. The rest I don't acknowledge. There was one on Disney that wasn't actually too bad.
We
However,
never saw any of the newer. Well,
yeah.
Home Alone 3 I saw when I was younger because that was still like a 90s thing. And I
Okay.
actually did not think that was a bad movie. but Deanna does not agree with me, and I haven't seen it in a while. We actually just talked about that earlier today.
Yeah. The boys, Preston watched all of them at one point because, after they see the first one, they're like, they want to see all of them.
Right.
But I just don't acknowledge the rest of them. They have to have Macaulay Culkin in there, which
Yeah.
is, Home Alone 2 is essentially Home Alone 1. Like, it's almost beat for beat the same story. The cool part is the Tim Curry like character, like
Yeah.
the
Right.
bellhop, or not the bellhop, but the guy that runs the hotel. I like
Rob
that
Schneider is the
addition.
bellhop.
Yeah, Rob Schneider like gets the gum that as a tip.
Yeah.
That is
And then he's like,
really
"No,
great.
that's okay, sir. I've still got some left." And then he's got that
Yeah,
pocket full of hundreds. He's like, "Oh, okay
100.
then."
Yeah, that's hilarious. He's like, wait, wait, wait. Yeah, but even they did the Angel with Filthy Souls. Basically they
Yeah.
brought that back.
Yep.
You know,
And they made it better. They made it again, the same kind of thing, but he's like, "You've been
yeah,
smooching everybody." And he's
yeah.
like going through the names. He says Cliff, and that's the security guard.
Did you have a talk boy? Do you know what the tape recorder thing?
I
No,
never no.
so I was probably, like 12 when that came out, and my youngest brother would have been like 8, that I lived with, and he got a talk boy for Christmas. So we had that thing. It's essentially a Walkman with a little thing that was like a microphone, but I don't think it essentially did anything. It wasn't any better than any other Walkman.
Did the movie come out like how far before Christmas? Was it far enough that like he got it because of that movie?
Probably. I'm sure it was like one of those things that they marketed that like
Right.
I know whether yeah, I'm sure that was put into the script to sell this toy.
Yeah, right. And they made sure they made a bunch of them. Like, oh, this is gonna hit. It's gonna be big. Yeah, it came out in November of '92.
Yep, that's right. Right before Christmas, they really were marketing that stuff. But we got a line. Our Lions fan 4399 said did not like the message that came from the refs. The game's such lies, and yeah, they could have communicated the better at the end of that game to not give
Right.
so many people hope. But
Yeah, they did it on purpose.
they did. It did. Got to make it about the refs, unfortunately. All right. So Home Alone. So what's better for you, Home Alone 1 or Home Alone 2? I'm assuming you're gonna say Home Alone 1.
We talked about this. Like, we had a discussion. My family chat had like a vote in there, and that was like
Okay.
I just thought about it, and I talked to Deanna. I was like, I don't know that I can pick between those two because
Okay.
for me, I mean, maybe so this is gonna be different for you because you remember when they first came out and everything like that. But
Mhm.
my whole life, ever since I've watched Home Alone, I've Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2. I've always watched both of them,
Yeah.
and they're similar stories. I think they're both really good movies. I mean, I guess if I had to pick, I would slightly lean towards Home Alone 2.
Mhm.
But I can't say one over the other for sure. What do you
Yeah.
think though?
I think Home Alone 1 just is probably because I saw it first and it just saw it come out. And Home Alone 2 is basically just repeating a lot of the same beats. So it feels like it. However, some of the gags at the end, like, when he's, going through that house or whatever, is obviously ramped up for Home Alone 2. So much so that
When he
he would have
electrocutes him.
killed them like multiple times,
Right.
you know, like throwing the bricks over the over the edge, like you 2 stories down, you're throwing a brick, I mean, he's gonna be dead or
Right.
not know who he is. Certainly concussion, really bad concussion at
I
that.
thought
But
about like, man, they're just inhaling and breathing in all that
mm,
the stain, all the different like
yes,
yeah.
the one thing that I know makes me twinge, and this is in Home Alone 1 that's not in 2, is when he steps on the nail with the tar as he's walking up the stairs,
Oh
and then
yeah.
also the bulbs. Like, I get the heebie-jeebies when I think about like that. Like, like you just feel like, oh God, that's got to be so painful. And I think 2 didn't necessarily have that just because everything was so outrageous that I you know dump my head in kerosene and on fire.
Yeah.
whatever else they did. But it is a fun movie to watch, and I do like it. It's just a little more ramped up. That's probably, and like I said, Home Alone one. I my younger brother, say when I was talking earlier, had blonde hair. It looked really a lot like Macaulay Culkin, so much that they had like a contest that we entered him in. Like there was a Macaulay Culkin like look-alike contest, and he looked just like he had his haircut just like him, really blonde hair at the time, and yeah, it was uncanny. They were very close in age too.
Wow. He didn't win, I'm guessing.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Was this something where you had to send in a picture, like some sort of sweepstakes?
Yeah, I'm sure it was like a Polaroid back then. Like, and that was like late 80s, probably it was probably Home Alone one time, so it was probably like late 80s. Or would that come out 90? That might come out 90.
I think Home Alone 1 came out in 90. Because then 2
Yeah.
was 92.
Yep. So it was probably right around, it was probably right after that then. I don't know why it took so long to write Home Alone 2. They basically rewrote Home Alone 1 and just, they could have shot that right away.
Right. Well, the problem is that they probably had to figure out, how do we make this different but the same? Like, how
I
do we
know.
make it really close, but you can't be, they can't come back to the house. They can't do that again. What do we do?
Yeah.
And they nailed it.
Yeah. Well, how can we make it so that these are really, really terrible parents that leave their kid, in the airport? One, they don't even get to the airport. Two, they just, and then the airline people are like, just find your dad. Just, oh, he's on the plane. Okay, goodbye. Like everybody's
Right.
losing
Well,
their
see,
job.
that's what I was saying in the time. Right.
Yeah.
In that time, like, was that just that lax? Were they just like, well, you know what? Yep, he's on. There's his dad. We're going.
Yeah.
Clearly, that wouldn't fly anymore. But
No.
I always thought it was weird too that, like, in the first one, they're in first class and the kids are back, like, and they're just like, oh, just pick whatever seat, and you guys, the kids are loose back there.
First of all,
I've only flown one time, so can't
okay.
say that I have too much experience, but I imagine it's not like that anymore.
I could tell you that Sarah and I would not be sitting first class and putting Bradley and Preston back in coach. I mean, as much as we would love to do that, uh, I can't imagine that the airline would be like, okay, yeah, you can just let your kids back here run around and do whatever they want. Because especially if the parents are back there, what kid's going to behave in that situation? They're not. That's ridiculous.
Right.
All right, man. I think it's time to skedaddle. So I will. Are we recording tomorrow for the preview?
I think we're gonna have to. That's our last chance.
It is our last chance because it's going to be Christmas Eve, and yep, it's crazy. So I
might have to do a quick preview episode.
Yeah, be a quick preview. And we'll get it down. Yeah, we gotta wrap gifts, or we gotta well, Santa does a lot of the wrapping, but we gotta wrap some gifts too.
We got a little bit we got to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be kind of sparse because of holidays next week. So we're kind of trying to still figure that out. So if you don't hear from us, don't think that we've given up on the Lions or anything like that. It's just the holidays kind of get in the way there. So as far as our schedule, but we'll be back, certainly after the new year, back on a kind of a regular schedule. So for Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.